Sonny Bono, Princess Caroline of Monaco, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Natasha Richardson. That's just a partial list of celebrities who have injured themselves or died while skiing. In fact, during the past 10 years, an average of 41 and a half people have died during skiing or snowboarding. During the 2010 and 11 season, that number was 54. 54! You see, a body has a good, clear, logical reason to be afraid of skiing. I don't like cold. I don't like heights. I don't enjoy speed. I have a strong aversion to adrenaline-inducing sports. And I'm impatient. Standing for hours in below freezing temperatures, then riding high above the ground in a chair without so much as a seatbelt, only to throw myself down the mountain at high speeds on a couple of strips of waxed fiberglass, seems like a series of extraordinarily bad ideas. And yet, there I found myself standing in the bright sunlight, covered head to toe, and shaking like a leaf. Was I prepared for my first foray down the slopes? Not at all. My dear friend Joe is an avid skier and an excellent teacher, however, so I was willing to give it a try. He coached me on starting and, most importantly, on stopping. I was nervous on the starter hill with the tiny babies whizzing past me, shouting with glee. I took a couple of really scary runs, my heart beating out of my chest in a fast rhythm, and I rode the magic carpet back up to the top. It was a beautiful sunny day on the mountain. The sky was a deep, bright blue, so vivid, and the air so clear you felt like you could just touch the sky. The sun, snow, sparkling like diamonds. There wasn't so much as a breeze, and it was a nice, warm day. Unusually warm. Very warm, 50 degrees. As I inched my way up to the rope toe, shedding clothing as I went, I was highly aware of the increasing temperature. The rope tow at Anthony Lake Mountain Resort is a diabolical device. It is simply designed to test your upper body strength and sheer will. There is no handy bar to lean back against or a platter on which to plant your posterior. No, the moving rope is decorated with evenly spaced, floppy, rubbery, old, dirty sticks that at one point may have had fake fruit on the ends. After a death-defying ride in 3 attempts, I stood triumphantly at the top of the bunny slope. My first run down was a terrifying affair. What seemed like a gentle slope from the ground was actually a steep drop-off down which I was supposed to willingly fall and stay on my feet. I still cringe when I think of that small boy I ran over. I was trying in vain to stop, scrabbling at the ground with my useless poles completely without direction or control. The poor child started yelling as he saw me approaching. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry!" I was mortified, and I was sorry. My skin prickled with embarrassment at the thought of these accomplished skiers around the average age of 7 watching the slow-motion crash. In spite of my subpar performance on the bunny slope, I agreed to take one attempt at a green circle run before heading home. The green circle denotes an easy beginner run. I scrambled up the hill to the chairlift, panting like an overheated collie and sweating buckets. I listened carefully to the instructions, and I was extremely grateful to the lift operator who slowed down the chair for my first loading. I thought the bunny hill was kind of steep, but now I was looking nearly straight up at a snow-covered cliff. A snow-covered cliff down which people were merely hopping and bounding. I noticed that the skiers looked fairly small from where we were. Really small. Very, very small, because we were very high up, but it was too late to back down. They won't let you ride back down the mountain in the chairs. Safety reasons or some such nonsense. The mountain loomed before me like a vengeful god, daring me to look down or back, but I didn't. When the chair ground to a stop, so did my heart, only to start its jackhammer pace again when the chairs lurched to a start. As I was basking in the glory of not falling off the chairlift, we coasted over the top of the beginner run. The first part of the run is a fairly gradual slope, and I handled it with a constant dragging snowplow, with constant stopping and falling and marveling that I hadn't yet tumbled headfirst down the hill. I couldn't pay attention to the glorious sights of the surrounding Elkhorn Mountains or the Baker Valley crystal clear below me. I was too busy praying fervently to any God that would listen and take mercy on me. Before the first turn of the trail, I was down on my backside, wondering just exactly how I was going to make it back down to the car to take off those damn skis, contemplating my mortality, when a helpful member of the ski patrol coasted to a stop next to me and asked if I was all right. "Just resting," I replied. I was unaware that at that point I should have begged for a stretcher slide down the mountain. I stubbornly struggled to my feet, and around a bend I scraped only to come to a complete standstill. Before me was the face of a sheer cliff. I could not see beyond the horizon, not down the hill, not to a flat spot, not to my safety or salvation. The only sounds I could hear were the crashing of my heart, racing and raging, trying to escape my rib cage in absolute terror, my own panting, and the swooshing of the expert skiers flying past my quivering standing form. I screamed down at Joe, "You said this was a beginner run! You lied! I'll never trust you again!" He shouted, "You can do it, you'll be fine," and those sort of platitudes you might use when you're trying to talk a person out of jumping off a building, a snow-covered building. I took a deep breath and aimed my skis sort of down the hill. As I picked up speed, the edge of the run came tearing at me, faster than a jet plane, on a runway at a standstill. I was completely out of control, screaming, "No, no, 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 no," louder with each passing inch. I hit the ground face first, snow filling my eyes and my ears and my screaming mouth. At first, all I felt was pain everywhere, and then relief that I was no longer moving. Where I was not moving, however, was the fence separating the snowboard terrain park from the ski run. Snowboarders were flying past, inches from my unprotected aching noggin, because this was before I was smart enough to wear a helmet. As my pulse slowly receded, I became aware of my skis, still attached to my feet, facing opposite directions, resting against my tender kneecaps. I flailed about and I managed finally to detach the blasted things from my boots. I squinted down the mountain at Joe, who was graciously hiding his mirth, and I just kept thinking, if I start crying now, I will likely never stop, and I'll still be crying when they drag my frozen stiff body off this mountain. Dismayed by the fact that I had only made it 20 feet down the hill, I carefully weighed my options, and I took a deep breath from my perch on the hillside, and I made a deliberate decision. I grabbed both my skis in one hand and laid them across my lap. I grabbed both my whole poles in the other hand and the shreds of my dignity, and I slid down to Joe on my butt, cursing him all the way. I did manage to make it safely down the mountain that day with black and blue knees and a good story, and I've been back again and again and again. I love skiing now, I can't get enough of it, and I've advanced to an intermediate level, unafraid of challenging runs, enjoying the rush of the wind past my face and the shush of my skis on the snow. However, I'm quite certain when I tackle my first Black Diamond run, I'll have another tale to tell. Thank you.